Hey, I'm Madeline Rosene. I'm a singer-songwriter, usually based in Los Angeles, but right now I'm here in my hometown in Ohio. I create indie pop and roll alternative music.
Great. And what would you say inspired you to get into music? Was it your friends? Was it family? Was it a specific artist that inspired you? Was it the situation that you were in?
Yeah, my mom is a jazz vocalist, so I was always around music growing up. And my brother plays music, and he taught me how to play guitar when I was little because he wanted me to be in a band with him.
Nice.
Basically, he just wanted someone playing rhythm guitar so he could solo over it and be a star.
Great. So
We
it's
had a
definitely a
band.
family operation.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, my family's pretty musical. We just love it. And, yeah, I guess I'm also inspired by people like Alanis Morissette and
Nice.
singer-songwriters with a lot of bravery.
Yeah, my dad ran sound 1,000 years ago at Bogart's down in Cincinnati, and what am I doing right now? Running a little bit of sound here.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, similar, sort of family background into music. And so I guess as far as your team goes, would you consider your family your team, or do you have agents and managers? And, we can kind of go
I
into
do.
depth as far as your team.
Yeah, my family's definitely not my team, although they are lovely people.
Yeah.
I have a manager named Pedro out in Los Angeles who handles at Music with a K, and he's amazing. He's helped me so much, especially recently with my last album, and just getting it produced and finding the right people to work with, and helping me get my album release party together, which was a huge success. And then I have an agent who helps with partnerships and promotion, PR person.
Sure.
Yeah, it's you have to surround yourself with the right people and the right producers and the right engineers so that you're comfortable around them and so that they understand the sound you're trying to make. And then, of course, my best friend Ben Chani is an amazing videographer.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky to be surrounded by creative, incredible people.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because that's a big part of obviously what I'm doing at the studio, and I'm really interested in connecting and even possibly interviewing your videographer to talk a little bit about his background as well. Now, who are the producers that you're working with? Is it a specific guy or girl, or is it something that changes based on the project?
Well, I'm very particular about my songs. I think there's a lot of
Sure.
people who just kind of throw music at the wall and see if it sticks, and
Oh
they
yeah.
do it in a day.
No
They're like, okay, my
purpose.
song's done. I put the auto tune on, and I wrote the lyrics last night, and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I really hate your music. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's being honest,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I treat my songs like they're children, and I want them to have the right parents and the right godparents and the right,
I love that.
like college tuition and
Budget.
everything they need to succeed in life.
Yeah.
I spoil them. So,
And then you just slap it on its ass before it goes out into the world.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so I try to find the right producer for each song, and that's not always easy.
Sure.
Because, it's hard to tell. People can't read your mind, what you're thinking. And I also work with an engineer regularly, Dante Ducal. He's one of my best friends, too.
Okay.
And I probably would never work with any other engineer at this point.
Nice.
I'm just so comfortable with him and love him so much. And yeah, so I definitely think it's on a per song basis, and it probably always will be, if I can help it. And yeah.
No, absolutely. And that's what I've personally learned, that in the music business, it's kind of a challenge in a sense from a commodity standpoint that if everybody's looking at their music, and the artist is one thing, but more so with the producers and the beats, they look at their beats like babies, and it is
Oh
so
yeah.
hard that the previous company that I worked for and developed before, now I'm kind of going out on my own here, but the previous company was named College Beats, right? And
Uh-huh.
I had always planned to develop a warehouse for beats, kind of a you have all these producers with just hard drives and hard drives and hard drives of half finished beats, or beats that you produced in 2011, or whatever, that it would be a way to kind of corral and commoditize those beats, but everybody looks at their beats like babies.
Yeah.
So it
I
was,
mean, I have like a lot of thoughts on like producers, quote unquote, who just make beats. I
yeah,
don't think that's really a
yeah,
producer per se. A producer is someone who can play like several instruments, has a music background,
true. Yeah,
and
because
can
in
make
your
something literally.
world, you're talking about indie rock style
Yeah,
producers. Okay, I didn't connect those
that's
dots.
totally, yeah. To me,
I was
it's
just
a very
talking about
different
from
kind
my
of producer.
experience.
Totally,
Yeah,
totally. And I don't necessarily think those people aren't producers like that. They definitely are. But it's like a completely different kind of producing than I'm interested in.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
Now, we covered a little bit of your inspiration. You obviously mentioned how important your family was. Now, as far as your short-term goals, like, do you have any project that just released? Do you have a project that's coming up soon? If you would, talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm actually supposed to have a conversation with the marketing person today for a video that I'm going to release hopefully next month for
Ooh,
actually a song that was on my last album. It's called Talking to Myself, and I really, really love this music video, and I can't wait to release it. Um, it's really just kind of weird for me walking around in a hostel gown,
mm,
my neighborhood in LA. And yeah, I'm super excited about that. Then I'm working on my second album, which is called Everyday Existential Crisis, and that'll be out this year. So those are definitely like the short-term goals. As far as long-term goals go, it's kind of hard because of the pandemic. Like I would
yeah,
say, like touring, but
yeah,
like no.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's,
So
primarily how the industry makes any of their money is through touring.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little bit of a bump in the road here, but I can still think about it and plan. It's just like who knows when it's going to
Yeah,
be
I've been
real.
kind of wanting to do, because I do have such a big room, is to almost create a Saturday Night Live type of music venue, like how they feature artists, the way that they feature artists, something
Yeah,
like that, where it would be pre recorded, a handful of different performances, and then post production, we'd string it together and then play it as if it's live, right? And the idea was
yeah,
College Beats Live or whatever, but now that I'm no longer working with College Beats, I'm open to names. But um, that was part of my idea. That, like I
yeah,
said, although I've been working with more hip hop and artists over the years, like I said, my dad, has more of the traditional background of the full bands, and we've got PA equipment and all kinds of different toys. But the big problem with the big cyclorama room is the concrete floor right now. So the echo is intolerable. You can't even walk into that room and hold a conversation with someone. It's bad. But
oh, interesting.
but with a music video, you're technically not recording the live audio, you're just layering it over. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not the worst thing, but we do, still plan on, putting echo treatment in the corners, and it's a process, that we're
Right, of
looking at.
course.
Ironic, what's funny is the only place I can find like affordable echo treatment, like for the corners is like Germany, but it's like a really great price. It's like only 60
Interesting.
euros for like a 4-piece corner bit of sound isolation. I don't know. I
Oh
digress.
yeah,
So that's
that's
kind of
okay.
what,
Hey,
I'm working on.
while I'm here in Ohio, I'm happy to meet you guys. It's
Absolutely.
make a trek down there.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
And the best thing about this studio, and it was something that I had thought of before the pandemic, was that at the end of the day, we own the building. So we can really make executive decisions that I don't know anybody that owns a studio in the city that actually owns the building that it's in. So that's kind of a competitive advantage. And what I want to do is have a smart studio. So, the
Ooh,
locks, the lights, cameras, etc., would all be on the network. So, let's say we don't even need to interact. It would be more or less like, hey, I got your deposit. Here's the code for the day, have at the building, and then let me know when you're done. Because the
right,
nicest part is with these cyclorama rooms, there's nothing to steal. It's just a flat out room that you go in and out. Sure, there'll be cameras if someone damages something, that's obviously, in the contract or whatever, but there's not really anything to really do. Maybe
right.
rent a stand here and there. Like once I actually, start making some money, we could obviously have some stands and different things. And one of my partners, Cody, he actually works at a camera shop, right, named Procam. I don't know if you ever heard of
Mm-hmm.
Procam, but
No.
so we can get, and obviously, off the air, I'll really tell you the details, but, we can get a pretty good deal on rentals and different things. So if I don't have it, Procam's going to have it, and Cody's going to be the one to talk to. So that's a really dope plug as far as actually having a partner that works at a camera shop. And his dad owns a production company, and his dad's got like 360 VR 8K cameras like that they take at like NBA basketball games. And so
That's crazy.
that's really dope. Like as far as being able to experience the game as if you're there in VR, right? But I don't know
Yeah.
what else we could do with the camera. um, but yeah, so that was nice. And I mean, on that tip, do you have any questions for me? Like, I know I just sent you some content over the last 5 minutes. I don't know how much
Yeah.
of it
Who
you
would
got
I
to
looked
check
it up
out.
then? Who's been your favorite person to interview or collaborate with as far as artists go?
Wow. All right. That's great. That's a good question because most people like they just pull the easy card and go, "Oh, well, what was your inspiration getting into this?" So it's nice to
No.
hear something different while I stall to think about who is my favorite. I mean, I gotta be honest. I mean, I gotta say, obviously Post Malone. Because I got to
Mhm.
meet his grandparents and we had a full night about it. Um, we were going to pay him to do a show at Riverbend, and he agreed to everything, and we went down to Nashville and I shot some content, and that was a great experience. Obviously I'm no longer working with College Beats, so they actually dropped the ball on that opportunity, so it obviously didn't turn out as well, but hey,
Mhm.
within a
There'll be
year.
more opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was that. I kind of look at my life as pre Post Malone and post Malone
Oh my
because
god, that's hilarious.
Post Malone, my partner dropped like 4 grand on all new equipment, right? So
Mhm.
before then, I had put in the money for the laptop and the computer and 100% of the groundwork. And after Post Malone, he's like, oh crap, like I don't want to be successful because of Tony, you know? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he, threw some money against the wall. And then we ended up working with 101.1 The Wiz, which is a local radio station down here. And I
Yeah, I
didn't say
looked them up. Is that the one that's DJ K-like or
DJ Jado. There's DJ Fresh, like Futures DJs down here. Um,
okay.
who else? DJ HD, he comes through, DJ Diamond. I don't really know DJ Diamond. And then I also worked with Q102, which was DJ K. But
okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Q102. And unfortunately,
I think he would like one of my songs actually. So I DM'd it to him.
No, for sure. Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of these radio stations are nonprofits. So that was probably a solid year or so ago. But we shot 29 episodes with 101.1 The Wiz. We did Freestyle Friday. And Columbus, Power 105, due to the fact that Jado also worked up there, they wanted us to come and shoot their Freestyle Friday, but without Jado. So Jado said no, so we didn't end up getting to go up to produce the Columbus Power 105 Freestyle Friday. And, the other part of it, too, was, I don't know if you've ever heard of Tropicana. Like, Tropicana is from Cleveland, actually.
I have heard of it.
Yeah, Trop House. Or at least, like, they were all over the place. And, I love her personality. So that's what I would tell Jado. I'm like, Jado, like, let's turn this into like a Breakfast Club type of scenario where we got Tropicana, we got Jado, and then we have, even possibly eventually a third host. Like, let's say when we go up to Columbus, that it's like, you don't just have to be the front man, and I think that's the hardest thing that I've seen through working with artists is that, even business people too, everybody wants to be the boss. Nobody wants to play the team player role of like, what do we need to move forward? Not what I need to move forward. So that's been a challenge for me. I mean, have you experienced with that with anyone or any company? I mean, obviously we don't want to air out bad laundry. But I mean, what's something, without throwing out names, like, obstacles?
I don't experience that. I mean, I guess if I do, I shut it down immediately.
Yeah.
Because I'm like I'm not like hardcore about my music. I don't take it that seriously, but I do music because I like to do it, not because, it's, I want it to be fun no matter what. So the people I'm working with, it has to be an enjoyable experience. So if someone's doing something I don't like, I just stop working with them. Or I say, hey, that was dumb. Let's not do that. And I keep my hand on the ball at all times.
And you seem very fun. I mean, this is probably one of the funnest interviews that I've done.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
So
no obstacles. Yeah. The proper way to ask this question would be, what obstacles have you faced?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think most of that is like self-doubt on my behalf, and I'm a very like realistic person, but I'm also a very emotional person. That's why I write good songs. So I think a lot of self-doubt comes in about like, am I doing this? Like, this is pointless, and I should be doing something that actually helps people. And
your essentialness.
Yes. What is my role here on planet Earth? And, it's hard to deal with, and I think a lot of that is tackled in my next album, Everyday Existential Crisis. Plug. Just kidding, but not really. So I definitely think that's something I have a hard time with.
Yeah, and before we go any further, I would also like to ask you, where can people find you?
Oh, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. There's probably some bullshit about me on Reddit. Pretty much anywhere on the internet if you just Google my name.
All right, and I will also be listing all of her links down in the description box below. So I want to ask everyone, we are around, the 24-minute mark, but I just wanted to remind everybody, please, if you haven't, subscribe.
Give Madeline money. Just kidding.
Yeah, her Cash App and her Bitcoin address will be down in the description below. I need to get one of those. That's really how I've been able to stay afloat, through these years. And I have a problem. I think it's probably the bipolar where, like, I'm 150% in or 150% out no matter what I'm doing. Do you have that trait?
Um, yes, but I would say that everything I do besides music, I'm like only 50% in. Like, I know how hard I work in music and how hard I could work if I didn't have to do the other bullshit that I have to do on a day-to-day basis. So it's just like you have to find that balance of like how much of these distractions from my music can I afford to get rid of?
Yeah.
Before like I'm just a homeless struggling musician.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think I definitely am an all or nothing person, but finding a balance so you can actually do the things you love is one of the hardest things in life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you have any other questions or comments? Or anything on your mind?
I need your help with something. I need your help plugging DJs in Ohio with my music. Will you help me?
I can definitely put in a word. Have you seen the DJ Jam series?
I saw it and it worked. Oh, I'll check it out.
We featured 10 different DJs in the city, and I interviewed them, so I have a pretty good rapport.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got some play on KCRW in Los Angeles and some stations in Charleston, Massachusetts. So, and it's just funny, I haven't really tried a lot in Ohio, where I'm from. So I kind of missed opportunity.
Yeah. It's weird that a lot of the DJs say like you can't do payola or whatever, where it's weird how the process works, because a lot of artists ask for favors, and then by the time that they're big enough for the radio station to care, they hate the station.
Oh my god!
That we had an artist that got signed, R.I.P. Juice WRLD, but got signed by No Limit with Juice WRLD and that whole gang, and beforehand we had him for a show. His name's Season. He got on the Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse movie, and then I'm working with the radio station. I'm like, hey man, we'd love to have you up for Freestyle Friday. And he's like, no. So
oh my god,
it's interesting how things always go, that younger artists are always thirsty for the radio station, but once the radio station actually wants them, they want nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
But you have a different mentality, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And that's important. Relationships, personality, liking somebody is important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just not being a dick is important, right?
Yeah. Because it's like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to be successful unless you're successful. That if your network around you isn't more successful than you should want to help motivate people to be the best that they possibly can be, because and hopefully they want the same for you. And I think that's really where our society is under collapse right now, is that somebody just needs to get up and say, hey, treat everybody how you would like to be treated, and our entire society would be fixed overnight. I just think people that are raised in an inopportune situation, they are just not told that.
Right.
So that's, for those that are listening that are dealing with any struggles, treat people how you want to be treated. And really, I don't want to call it karma, because I obviously don't believe in magic or anything like that. But, the better that you treat people, ultimately, sure, you may get a couple bad apples. And what I always say, in a similar strategy that you have, is I intentionally let people take advantage of me, because if they're going to take advantage of me, they're going to take advantage of my network, and I want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. So
yeah, you want to see people's colors as quickly as possible.
You know, especially with the smaller bags or no bags. You know, I'd rather, you know, smell it out, you know, sooner than later until it becomes a big problem. And like I said, you know, obviously not to bring up dirty laundry, but you know, that was the situation with the last company where, you know, I would, you know, present a golden goose and I wasn't the one pulling the trigger. You know, that through the radio station, we even had an opportunity to work with Tekashi 69, you know, before everything hit the fan, right? And we agreed to a certain number. We met with the program director, and my partner probably offered, you know, 1/3 of it. And then you saw where all the shit hit the fan there. Have you really followed the Tekashi 69 thing? Like, how what do you like? What is your what do you listen to personally?
What do I listen to?
Yeah, personally.
I listen to a lot of like 1920s and 30s jazz.
Oh, wow.
I listen to I don't know, classical music, and
what are some of these artists from the 1920s?
And Hanshaw, like, you know, Irving Berlin. I think he's you know,
and it's probably a It's probably a playlist
like the Harry
too.
James Orchestra.
Nice.
Yeah, my mom is really involved in that music,
nice.
So I grew up listening to it. And like I lived in New York City for a long time and went to jazz clubs a lot, and yeah, I just have a big appreciation for old music. But you know, I like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Modest Mouse, like alternative rock.
Nice.
I like Eminem. I like Dr. Dre. I like, you know, I love Juice WRLD. I actually met him once. I don't know. I just listen to everything, you know.
Yeah.
But I really, there's a lot of music that I can't stand to.
Yeah. I personally,
if music feels half-assed to me, I'm not gonna like it.
No, you're good. And you know, for me, I don't even listen to music. That my partner in the previous company was more of the music guy. You know, I am more of a, you know, technical science, you know, the market, Joe Rogan, of course, you know, podcasts, you know, different comedy based things. But definitely when I'm trying to relax and it's, you know, late at night, I would love some jazz, you know, that I don't even know who exactly. I just throw, you know, jazz into Google or into YouTube and just listen to, you know, something that I've never heard before. Because I think that to me, you know, talking about the different generations, you know, like for example, my uncle, you know, he's in a band too called the Alpen Echoes. It's a German polka band. To talk a little bit more about my background, I belong to a German cultural society called the Cincinnati Donauschwaben. We've actually got a club up in Cleveland as well. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No, and I'm surprised because my family is pretty German too.
Yeah, that I don't know exactly what town it is. I should, but we've got 16 clubs all throughout the United States with probably about 300 members each, and that was one of the main reasons why we were hooking up with Post Malone was we're German. We've got 16 soccer fields at 16 venues all over the country. So we're like, all right, you know, let's just throw up a stage and go for it, right? So that's kind of one of my long-term goals is it's family property, you know, so it's a nonprofit organization. We could, you know, do some sort of fundraiser for the youth, and then the youth would do, you know, the working and, you know, the concessions and merch and different things. But that's a conversation for another day. But, you know, so I've been a German folk dancer my entire life too. So my mom dances, my dad dances, my grandma danced, you know, polka, waltz type of stuff. So that's what I've personally experienced on that end. So yeah, like I said, I personally am not the music guy. Like I'm more of the behind the scenes video production, audio, lighting, sound. And sure, I like music, but the problem for me is I hate listening to the same thing over and over again. That
I do the same thing.
The
In fact, when I like
Doors.
a song, I listen to it like a million times over and over again.
Yeah, that it's like the Doors aren't going to come out with like a new album. Nirvana's not coming out with a new album. Pink Floyd's not coming out with another album. So it's kind of like
I think
almost
it's really
depressing.
okay. I think it's okay to be stuck on things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Sure. And it's good music, and it has a place in my heart. But I think I also don't have like the sentimental value of our parents that lived when that music came out too.
Yeah,
I think that's a part of it. All right, so I'm trying to think. I mean, we basically covered anything. Is there anything else on your mind?
I think I got it all out there.
Yeah, you talked about me connecting you with DJs. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
What other ways could we potentially work?
To collaborate. I mean, if you want to do some promo videos or any kind of like video content, like I can drive down there.
Sure. The other idea that I had was some sort of album review, or album reaction, that I had. Because for me, I'm the type of person that I hate when someone tells me what to do, but if I offer it to you, it's more of an enjoyment, to me. So I had another artist that was more local. I'm like, hey man, I'm just doing audio podcasts. And he kept on wanting me to preview his music. And it's like, all right, well, let's figure out some sort of format that is a separate series of content. So within the next couple weeks, I've got a guy from the Bronx that I said that I would try it out. So hopefully by the time that we get to you within the next month or so, I'll have refined my process. Because whether or not we want to do it over the phone or in person, that I'm trying to think that with the green screen we could always throw it up on the wall as like a graphic behind you and do that angle. What type of, like, you're a videographer, for example, what type of camera does he have?
He has a Canon Mark D, some big number.
Okay. So Canon 1DX or Canon 80D, 70D, 5D?
A 5D, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're kind of at the same point, because with College Beats, I had a Sony A7R II 42 megapixel 4K. So his camera's not 4K. Like the definition. Not that you know that.
4K.
What's up?
The Canon Mark 5D isn't 4K?
I don't think so. I think the first 4K Canon was the Canon R series, I believe, and then maybe like the crazier like 1DX is possibly 4K. I may be wrong. We can digress. But I've got a Canon 80D now, and within the next month or so, I just actually sold my hot tub, so I do have some money. So I am planning on getting a new camera within the next month. So that will be kind of the plan. Like once I get the camera, I'll reach back out and say, hey, we could potentially shoot something. I'm trying to think. I mean, of course, as easy as photo shoots are too, while we're at it, we can always, shoot some photos as well.
Cool.
I'm trying to think. So we talked about an album, reaction video, photo shoot. The other crazy idea that I've had is I've got a green screen suit, right?
Oh,
so,
whoa.
like let's say you put it just on your body and then just on your head. So then we could independently control, to like spin it backwards. Or another idea that I had with a model, and maybe you may be, a good person to perfect it with as well, but to like take like a high resolution video of some flowers and then have the flowers coming out of the body as like a head,
That'd be
basically.
cool.
Right. So that's
Yeah.
maybe a scene that if you know, maybe after that album reaction video, if I find a specific song that I like, you know, maybe we can put together a music video as well while we're at it.
Yeah, you know, hit me with your ideas,
Yeah.
and I'll let you know.
Yeah,
I'm down.
absolutely. And because that's the craziest thing. Like anybody else, I'd have to, you know, rent out the building per hour. But since I own the building, I can do whatever I want. You know, so it's
Yeah,
just
that's
such
so
a
fun. It's like your own personal playground.
absolutely my compound. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just super sweet, and everything's, you know, in the same property. We've got about an acre and a half, and there's a little pond, and you know, some goats and some chickens, and you know, so we kind of live. My neighbor has all those livestock type of deal, but I don't know. I don't know if we could use some goats. Would you want to use some goats?
I mean, definitely, we're gonna need goats.
Yeah,
Like,
some
I
green
can't think of a
screen
reason
goats.
why we need goats.
Yeah. What I always say is, well, if I bought it, then why shouldn't I use it? So if we have goats, we would be at a loss
Dude, I'm
if we
just
didn't.
thinking, like, what the best scenario for these goats would be. Like,
I mean, just a bunch of B-roll and, like, you know.
100%, dude. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, obviously, I've got to, you know, make sure my neighbors are down with it, but and then also all that dirt and stuff. So I'd have to like get some sort of tarp. I don't know. I don't know. But it would be possible, you know, I guess. We have goats on premises.
Yeah, I don't really have any. I just feel like I'm gonna have to write a song
about
and most
goats.
of it's gonna have to be yodeling.
Yeah.
Now.
I'm trying to think if I know anybody who knows yodeling. Huh. I know somebody who can play the accordion. I can play the accordion. I can play like one sound, like the waltz. Dun 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 dun. I don't even know. I'm trying to think. And then I've also got like some guy that can play the harmonica pretty good. He also plays guitar. And then my uncle plays guitar too. My dad plays the drums. We've got a drum set too. We've got a drum set, couple guitars, not a piano, but a crappy keyboard that was probably $150. I'm trying to think. And then I've got a guy in Vegas that plays the Moog, and he also plays the Santoor. He was born in Iran.
Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. I need a Moog player.
Okay. Because that's who I played for Post Malone. His name's Keon from Vegas.
Send me his Instagram. I'm gonna stalk him.
Absolutely. It's Keon the One. And he was the one that actually inspired me to start this audio-based podcast. And he's like, Tony, you keep on asking me like what kind of content to create. Like you like talking to people. And so he's the first episode. So if you want to check out his episode, it's the first one of these podcasts. So let me tell you a little bit about Keon. His parents own a car dealership in Vegas. So they've got a nice little house in Henderson. This is his address. This is his social security number. You can pick him up here. But very nice guy, plays like 4, 5, 6 different instruments, piano, a whole bunch of Middle Eastern instruments that I can't even pronounce.
I just found him on Instagram.
Yeah. And he's very, very spiritual. Like he does like Reiki, whatever Reiki means. I don't know if you know what that means.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend does Reiki. You know, she's pretty dope too. They've been making some jewelry and stuff. But he just graduated with his marketing degree, and he's kind of in the process of debating whether or not getting a job or, you know, doing marketing for the car dealership. But they specialize in vans. So I was like, hey man, like you guys should like start building like tiny home van builds. That like that market is huge. But but I don't know how far they've gone with that. Because I also went to school for business management. That's where I met my partner in college beats. Was I got a 3.8 GPA. I'd go into group settings. I'd do all the work because I want to get a good grade. And for the first time ever, I had someone in my class or my group that actually did his work, and that was the owner of College Beats, right? And sure, I still had to do 75% of the work for the project, but he covered his 25%.
Got it.
And so that's key.
Anthony, because I've got to run because I only have till
cool.
1 in my mom.
All right, so just tell everybody where to find you, and we should be able to wrap it up.
Awesome. All right, find me on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram. Thanks for listening, and check out my music.
Absolutely, and we'll see you. You can also have all of her links down in the description below. I also want to say that I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man. Cool. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. We'll see you.
All right, bye.